Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I am Rachel from Rachel Reads. Today I am doing the mid-year book freakout tag, and I'm going to jump straight into it. There are several questions that I'm going to answer so we can have a bit of a chat about books. If there is a bit going on in the background, I apologize. My neighbor over here is playing the drums. I have the heater on because it's about 4 degrees and my dog is outside and he was chasing the next door neighbor's dog before, so he might start barking. So lots to compete with, but you know, we'll jump straight in there. So hopefully I beat them all. So the first question is, what is the best book that you have read so far in 2019? So this is a tie for me. Currently there are 2 books that I would pick. The first one would be The Dry by Jane Harper, which I've harped on and on about in previous videos. So if you do not know what I'm talking about, go and read my May wrap up. I rave on and on about that book. It was amazing. The second book is a book that I'm currently reading, but it is just so good I can't put it down. It is called The Nowhere Child by Christian White. It is a Australian debut novel about a girl who discovers that she was kidnapped when she was a child, and she goes to America to investigate who she actually is and what happened to her. So it is just so good, and I love the fact that, you know, parts of it are set in Melbourne, and it talks about little places that I know that you would never see in books. Like the main character's sister lives in Caroline Springs. My partner's parents live in Caroline Springs. I'm there every other week. One of the girls in the story went to Mornington Secondary College. I mean, you know, I did my teaching placement there. Like, how awesome is that? Like, that never happens around. You know, Melbourne might occasionally be in books, but you don't really see those intricacies of the city. What is the best sequel that you have read in 2019? Well, this one's going to be easy because I've only actually read one series in 2019, which is the Saxon series, which is a historical fiction series set in the Viking invasion of England. And I started watching these because of the TV show The Last Kingdom, and my partner and I got hooked on that. We binge watched it, and then I felt like picking up the books, and they were really good, and I binge read most of the novels. I got up to about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got up to about novel 7, and then I needed a break, but they were really good. So the sequel is called The Pale Horseman. That is number 2, and I gave that a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads. I was really engaged. I smashed through this, and I went and, you know, I smashed through the first 6 or 7 books in a couple of weeks. Really, really good if you're looking for some historical fiction set in that time. And the main character, Uhtred, is not real. He is fictional, but there are real characters there, like Alfred the Great, also Ethelred the Unready, and some really, really cool characters. I really enjoyed reading the book. And if you liked the show Vikings, it also, you know, you might enjoy these as well. A new release you haven't read but you want to in 2019. Well, technically not a new release. It came out last year. I really want to read Where the Crawdad Sings by Delia Owens. I have not read this yet. It is so hard to get a hold of in Australia unless you want to pay like $1 bazillion of shipping. I've looked at Amazon, but it's just so expensive, and I don't know if I can justify it yet. I might just throw my hands up and buy it anyway. So that's probably the book that I'm most looking forward to reading. While not technically a new release this year, it's still pretty, you know, it's still pretty new. So that's what I'm most looking forward to reading this year. So the next question is, what book are you looking forward to most that is being released in the second half of 2019? To be honest, I haven't been paying attention too much to what is going to be coming out. And the one book that I am excited for that I do know is coming out is called Missing Person by Sarah Lotz. And I think that sounds pretty interesting. It's set in Ireland. It's a missing person cold case sort of inquiry, and that sounds really great. Biggest disappointment this year. So the biggest disappointment for me this year would be Call Me Evie by J.P. Pomer. I had such high hopes for this book. It just sounded so interesting, but I was so bitterly disappointed by this book. I only gave it 2 stars, and I think that was probably being kind. I thought the book just sounded so interesting when I read the synopsis and the blurb, and I was engaged with the idea. It was just such a good idea, but it was just so poorly executed, and it was almost a not I almost couldn't finish the book. So that would be the most disappointing novel for me. If it wasn't Call Me Evie, then it would be The Last Anniversary by Liane Moriarty. As I said in my May wrap up, I was just so bored of the book. Nothing happened. Like, it was just bleh. And I don't mean to be rude about that, but I just found it so unrelatable and so unbelievable that, you know, I just couldn't enjoy it. And all of the characters were just so over the top and unrelatable and just, I did not like it at all. I think I gave that a 1 star. That was definitely, I don't know if that was as disappointing as Call Me Evie, because I wasn't necessarily looking forward to it as much. Call Me Evie, I had my hopes up and I had high expectations. The Last Anniversary, I didn't particularly have high expectations, but I didn't enjoy it as much as Call Me Evie. So Call Me Evie was a better book, but I was more disappointed by it, if that makes sense, because I had higher expectations. Biggest surprise. Okay, so this is going to have spoilers. If you have not read The Dry by Jane Harper, mute this now. I will, you know, put my hand up and go like this when you can unmute it. But the biggest surprise of this year for me was who the killer was in The Dry. Like, I was shocked. And I need to say that again. I was shocked. Like, I remember, like, looking at my boyfriend and, like, poking him, and I'm like, babe, the principal was the killer. And he's like, what are you even talking about? Because he had no idea. He hadn't read the book. He doesn't even care. I was like, but babe, the principal was the killer. And I know I've mentioned this in a few videos before. I'm a teacher, and my principal at my school is just such a lovely man, and I just couldn't imagine it. But she wrote it so well that it was so believable, and you could just see his desperation and why he'd done it. But it was so reprehensible that you're just like, oh. Because Jane Harper, she did such a good job at, like, pulling you in and making you, like, you liked the character before you found out what he did. You know, she made him likable, and so you had pity, but you didn't want to feel pity, and that was the biggest surprise of the year for me, and it was so well done. Favorite new author. Can I pick 3? Can I pick 3? If I can pick 3, I'm going to pick Karen Slaughter, I'm going to pick Jane Harper, and I'm going to pick Christian White. All 3 of those I have loved reading their writing this year. Karen Slaughter is not a new writer, so I can't claim that, you know, I liked her because of her debut, but I only just read her for the first time this year. Jane Harper, The Dry was her debut novel, so I can claim that she is a debut author, even though she has subsequent books now that I have purchased. And Christian White, The Noah Child was his debut, and it's just so good. So they are the favorite new authors of this year: Karen Slaughter, Jane Harper, and Christian White. Newest fictional crush. I haven't really had one, to be honest. Like, I haven't read any really romancy stuff this year. Or actually, give me a second. I'm back. Jonah from The Simple Wild. He was so adorable. Like, he's like a little bad boy, but he, you know, he wants Calla so much, and he was dreamy. And I like the fact that, you know, he worked with his hands. He was a pilot, and, you know, he was sensitive but not sensitive, and he had this awesome relationship with Calla's dad, which was awkward because she had no relationship with him. And yeah, Jonah from The Simple Wild, he would be my crush. Who is my newest favorite character? I'm gonna go with Rusty from The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter. I just thought he was so funny, and he was such a good dad, and like, my heart broke for him. And spoilers, pause now, mute now, whatever you want to do. When he died, like, I was crying. Like, I was heartbroken, and he was so funny, and so, like, yeah, Rusty from The Good Daughter. Book that made you cry. What book doesn't make me cry, really? Okay, I'm just looking at books that I've read this year that I cried in. Spark of Light by Jodi Picoult. Cried. Check. The Outsider by Stephen King. Cried. The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. Cried. The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. Cried. These aren't all the books, I'm just picking some out. The Dry by Jane Harper. Cried. And The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter. Cried. In case you're wondering what this is, that's me doing a check. No, I get really emotional when I read and I cry a lot. Probably only the fact that I haven't read a lot of like really mushy stories that haven't cried as much as I would usually do. But yeah, I cry a lot. Yeah. Book that made you happy. Happy in what sense? Is in happy that about the plot, or happy as in when I finished reading, like I walked away and I was like, yes, I really liked that book. If it was happy, yes, I really liked that book, then I would say The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna, The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker, The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter, The Dry by Jane Harper. I just really enjoyed them, so they made me happy. In terms of what book did I enjoy the ending, I would say probably The Great Alone and The Simple Wild. The most beautiful book that I have bought this year so far, or have received, as in aesthetically beautiful, or beautiful as in like a beautiful story. I'm not sure what that means. But the most beautiful aesthetically, like the cover and stuff, is this one here, which is The Taking of Annie Thorne. Like it's just cute, and like yeah, it's so good looking. In terms of beautiful story, I would say The Simple Wild. It was just beautiful, like, you know, it gets you in there. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? Well, look, I have so many books that I want to read this year. I can't even name them all. The Taking of Annie Thorne would be one. I haven't read that yet. The Lace Weaver. I want to read The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I want to read. Force of Nature by Jane Harper. There's just so many. I can't even name them. Like, I'm not even going to try. But that is the end of the tag. I know I waffled on a little bit and I get a little bit distracted and start walking around and... But I do hope you enjoyed this tag. If you have done the tag and you would like me to watch, please leave your link below so I can go and check that out. Otherwise, just let me know and I will go and find it. I will leave the original links below to the tag, to the original tag. I had so much fun doing this with you and sharing my thoughts about the books that I've read this year. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.